This is the story of the summer of 17, the sights and the sounds of our outdoor adventures during that year. The first event of the season was the Harrogate Spring Show. Our theme this year was Euphorbias. It was a great display and we got a silver gilt, so well done to the team. And the first garden visit is to Alan Wilson's lovely garden in Otley. On a rainy day in May, we're off to Summerbridge.
And it is all masses of big rocks. I think it was a glacial moraine, this really. You know, when there was a glacial lake in Nidderdale. And there are all these great big loose rocks, same type of rock really as Brimham rocks, more or less. It's the same on the other side of the valley. So we've got masses of these huge boulders, and this was uncleared natural woodland. You know, it's impossible to cultivate it. You can peep over the wall and see. But I've put a little notice because the little bit of wood there, the floor of it is so rough now. Health and safety, I just don't feel I can let people go in it, which is a shame. Because I once had a lady who came back to me after a few weeks and she claimed to have had a miracle cure sitting in the bit of woodland, because you know woodland can be quite magic, can't it? Oh. And so yes, I'm sorry, but I don't feel I can allow you to go in case anything happens.
Anne's garden was certainly magical, but I don't believe any miracle cures were recorded.
No, look,
come on, you've spotted the trilliums. What do you think?
I'm very envious of them.
They're fantastic, aren't they?
Yes.
Do you know what kind they are? Is it grandiflorum?
No.
Luckily, Carl was with us and he knew. What have you got your eyes on there?
Well, I would like the fern over there, which is an adiantum apparently.
Okay.
And that's just it's a lovely shape and beautiful colour.
And what does Anne think of it all?
An absolutely beautiful, well manicured and well run garden with lots of wonderful plants.
Perfect. As part of the HPS 60th anniversary celebrations, 5 gardens in Oakley were opened for a day. The day trip this year was on Midsummer Day, a visit to various gardens in North Yorkshire. First, 2 adjacent private gardens, White Dove Cottage and Proud Acres. and then on to John Bell's garden at Thirsk Hall. And last stop of the day, the White House at Husthwaite. Just 1 week later, some lucky members were off on the holiday, which this year was a trip down to Somerset.
Woodend Cottage, our first garden to see.
Gorgeous. Just gorgeous.
Ruth?
It's chrysanthemum parthenium. It's the double variety. And it's something you want to seed. And you hope it will seed over your garden because it's very pretty.
Lovely.
So on. But the rain has tinged it.
Yes, that's the problem with rain in my flat.
Yeah.
Acid soil?
Oh yes, it's a sandy loam really. It's probably an old forest soil, and it's ideal.
Yes, absolutely.
Its pH is.
And you've got a cardiocrinum.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
Oh yes. Cardiocrinums also. And trilliums, of course, do
Yes.
well.
At the second garden, Ruth Plant's garden. She holds the National Collection of dioramas.
Australian one, doesn't it?
Yes.
This looks like Jago.
What are you thinking about the garden then, Corinne?
It's overwhelming.
Oh, it is. It's fantastic.
Next day, first stop, Cannington Walled Gardens.
I've often looked at the seeds description in one of the catalogues for that, and it's as beautiful as it sounds in their description.
It does look lovely, doesn't it? Chamomile lawn.
And no garden visit's complete without a plant sale. And this is Midney Gardens. It's an RHS partner garden, about an acre. The butterfly garden gives us some identification challenges.
Meadow brown.
There's a lot of these little brown
Meadow brown.
walls, aren't they? The meadow brown is there.
Some of it's meadow brown, some is a wall, yes.
I thought all gardens were gin gardens. Is there some sort of gibbet for tools that misbehave?
Well, it is.
What do you think of the garden, Pat?
Well, it just reminds me of gardens that I went to as a child. It's atmospheric and relaxed. Look at that lovely double pink poppy.
Next to Tintin Hull, National Trust Garden, once the home of Penelope Hobhouse. And this is the 50-acre garden Hester Combe, the formal gardens designed by Edwin Lutyens and Gertrude Jekyll.
Three people admiring the view.
Hello, girls.
There's plenty to admire in the older landscape gardens too, but that's the end of the second day. It's all back on the coach. And look at this, just like school, naughtiest ones on the back seat. Watcomb's an Edwardian garden owned by HPS members. And next up, Honeyhurst Farm.
They are micro pigs, but they are a cross between a Kuni and the actual box here. They're fully grown, they're 6 years old.
Oh
my God.
now then, ladies.
Hello.
Hello.
Did you get your share?
Bab's Farm is a relatively new garden, created over the last 20 years from the fields surrounding the farmhouse. Next is Knight's Hayes Court, a Gothic revival mansion now in the hands of the National Trust. So here's the facade of the mansion, a grand place designed by William Burgess. But then here's the building where all the important work gets done. Barnsley House was of course once the home of the renowned plantswoman Rosemary Veary. These days it's an hotel. Lunch at the hotel looks like a very jolly affair. See if you can spot Judith Hahn from Tomorrow's World. Westfield Road in Swadlincote is the very last garden of the trip.
Yes, lovely finish to a lovely holiday.
Have you enjoyed it, Brenda?
Very much, thank you, yes.
Is this another video? This video is
Yes.
going to be full of, oh, God, go away. Not that wrinkly woman again.
It's Brian's fault, it's not me. It's Brian's fault, me, not this.
I've got to learn it first.
Sounds like there's some sort of plotting going on here.
Compensate for last year's appearance in the video.
Compensate for last year? What does she mean? Oh yes, who could forget Corinne's timeless rendering of Round and Round the Garden Like a Teddy Bear last year?
And what are you looking at here, Corrie?
Isn't that? I'm sure that's a Petunia trifoliata aurea. Oh, do you not know what that is?
Explain it to me.
Let me think. Oh, I think some people think it's like the golden hop tree.
You know what? I think you're going to get an A+ for your drama.
Do you? Don't put that in. I think some people think it's the golden hop.
Last things, Wendy, where we can't speak for laughing.
Have you done that?
Yes.
And so on that very dramatic note, the holiday came to an end. Next trip, Hill Bark. This is the garden of Tim Gittins and Malcolm Sim in Bardsey. Sadly, last year of opening. For our last garden visit of the season, Nigel Eaton arranged a tour of Harlow Carr with Matt Brewer, who's been working on some of the newer areas.
A pot of money was released when they sold the horticulture halls in London and leased it back, so 90 million or so, quite a reasonable amount. So that amount, which is great because the Archers for a long time have funding, is being used to develop, and the development I'm going to show you in the woodland is just, it's a very naturalistic woodland garden really, which is lovely. It's got real character to the place, but we're trying to add that sort of woodland edge herbaceous layer into it to make it more ornamental, but keep that lovely woodland lost feeling at the same time. It's a 5-year project. Okay, ladies and gents. Yes, this is the area I brought you to, the glade. This is the area I've been working on mainly. So I will take you back. I'll take you back to when I first started on my interview day, and I came here and I was faced with this area, which, so those of you might remember, it was very boggy, full of Dalmera peltata, sedge, huge bits.
Yeah.
Really, how do you overcome such terrible conditions in this particular area? We've just literally bought loads and loads and loads and loads of soil and put it on top. Because we physically couldn't rotivate over it because it was such terrible thick glazed soil. It was a bit of a risk because it could easily get washed away. The planted here has been recycled from other parts of the garden. Not been allowed to order anything. So as you walked in through past the stream side, that's all been widened and redeveloped. Before, the stream side beds were much thicker and deeper. So all this has come out of there. So the Poscaria, we're putting plants up here that like water. Well, it's very wet, so why not? And they've all thrived very well.
The last event of our busy summer was the Harrogate Autumn Show. This time the theme was Persicarias, and we were given a circular stand which opened up some new possibilities for displaying the plants. Again, a silver gilt, well deserved and well done to all. And so the season comes to an end for the West Yorkshire branch of the Hardy Plant Society. I hope you'll all agree it was another great one.